Today's guest is making laps at Nodak Speedway and up and down the Velva Aggies bench. Joining me now, it's Isaac Sondrol. Your resume is a lot of dirt track racing and some Velva Aggies basketball. Let's start at the Playground of Power. How did you first get into dirt track racing in general?
Well, my family's been involved in dirt track racing since the early 1960s. My grandpa Harry started in the early 1960s. He got married to my grandma Barb, and they've been doing it ever since, the racing deal. And my grandpa Harry passed away early in 2001, but ever since then we've kind of continued the legacy. So we've been at the racetrack for 55 plus years, and that's kind of our deal. We don't really go to the lake much. We don't do the camping thing. We go to the racetrack on the weekends. So
I talked to Brandon Beater and for the show, and then Robbie Roselli casually, and then for the story for the KMOT News. And it's kind of funny how right around unfortunately they've lost significant people in their lives, but then something like magical tends to happen around that ensuing racing season or right before it. Did that happen for the Sondrols in 2001 at all?
Yeah, actually, my uncle was racing quite a bit back then. We had a memorial race in Underwood, and he went and won that deal, and we had a pretty good season that year. And then, on the magical side of things, we kind of got lucky. My grandma got remarried to another racer. His name was Dick Schultz, and so my step-grandpa was also a Hall of Famer. So my grandpa Harry's in the Hall of Fame at Nodak, and then my grandma gets married to Dick Schultz, and he's also in the Hall of Fame at Nodak. So, yeah, we kind of got lucky on that end that, special seasons turned into a special decade for us. So we got lucky there.
So you've definitely seen it as you've grown up. How much of a time commitment does it take to be a competitive race car driver and ultimately a Hall of Famer?
Well, the Hall of Famer thing, man, those guys spent their whole lives doing it. And it's time consuming. There's a lot of days that we come home from work or whatever, and it's at the shop till midnight, and that's pretty regular. And I do that just to be competitive, and I do it on a pretty tight budget, so I have to put in the extra work just to try to compete with those guys, especially at Nodak. Nodak's been so wicked fast lately and tough. The competition's been awesome and always has been up there. So you got to put in that extra time, otherwise it's not worth doing it. So yeah, it's a time commitment, Ben. And like my grandpa, it's life. Like I said, there was when we go to holidays and stuff, and we spend family time together. It's talking about racing. And when we took family vacations, it was to go to the Knoxville Nationals in Iowa or go to the River City Speedways in Grand Forks or Red River Valley Speedway in Fargo. That's what our family did for vacation. So it's kind of more of a life commitment, I guess. It's crazy, but it's just when you fall in love with it, it's what we do. And a lot of people, whatever it is, you just fishing, camping, whatever, you fall in love with it, and just be passionate about it and go do it. And that's how our family's been. So
did it come naturally for you when you were first really little and being around it? Because it's not always the case.
Yeah, I've always felt comfortable at the racetrack. I tell you what, I worked on cars until I was about 20 years old. I worked on my uncle, and then he kind of retired, stepped back from the deal. Then I kind of started driving, and then kind of fit in that. I've had to learn a lot in the car. Luckily, my background of working on the things has kept me competitive enough. I've had to learn a lot of the car. I still have a lot to learn about driving these things because a lot of the guys I'm racing with have 10, 15 years experience on me, and it's hard to make up that experience. So it's I've always felt comfortable at the racetrack, and I just try to absorb as much knowledge as whatever I'm watching. Like last night we were watching the World of Outlaws, and we're just trying to watch and learn all the time from these guys. So yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, talking about getting competitive, President Beater was telling me that there's usually like a 5-year career track to becoming a consistent contender at Nodak Speedway, just learning the ins and outs and how things are run just there. So given looking at your career in that first 5-year time frame, how do you think that your racing improved?
Yeah, so my first year was the year that they started the Sport Mod class up here in North Dakota, and the first year went really well, actually. We won a title in Underwood, and we won a couple races that season. And then the learning curve came. Then I really struggled in 2013, 2014, and 2015. Well, at the end of 2015, I started to adapt a little bit better to what the cars were doing, what I needed to do in the seats. And then 2016, we really figured some stuff out, which led us to winning the championship in 2017. So it did. It took 5 years. It's just you need the seat time. You need the time working on these cars. It's just if you jump in and you can win right away, and do it, man, you're talented. You're special because it's hard to do, and it's just it's hard to do it, especially if you're working on your own stuff, you know. So it is. It's a 5-year learning curve, and I think then you learn until the day you retire. So,
How much of a shock to the system was it to have that success right out of the gate and then not have it as much, but then having to work back and getting on top again must have been a good feeling.
Yeah, I mean, it was. Yeah, the first year kind of went really smooth, you know, and I was like, oh, man, this is everything I dreamt it was going to be. You know, we're going to win all the time, this, that, and it wasn't. It got harder and harder and harder, and we really, in 2014, it was almost a breaking point where I had to decide if I wanted to keep doing this, if I wanted to go back just working on them, and luckily, my family is so supportive, and my girlfriend, my wife now, but my girlfriend at the time, she said, you know, this is what you do, this is what you know, and all the support kind of got us through that. And we bared down and we got through it, but it was tough. It was so tough. I mean, it's just like with anything, you know, from the racing to coaching to playing sports in high school, there's a time that comes and you got to kind of, you know, nut up or shut up basically. And we grind through it, and I'm glad we did because there's been a lot of good memories since then. So
that was a support system that kind of stuck with you through it, because Brandon was telling me also how some drivers could hit a lull in that 5-year track, get discouraged, sell things because, like, life is busy, man. So was there a moment where you were like the closest to letting her go, but then you were able to come back?
Yeah, so like 2014, I remember Memorial Day weekend, I blew up a motor. I think we blew up both motors that I had, and then like a couple weeks later, we went out to Williston and ran, and we were actually running pretty good, and the tie rod end broke, and then we went to Nodak on the 4th of July, and my transmission blew up, and it broke going onto the trailer. We couldn't even get in the trailer, and I just thought that was it. That was pretty much almost the breaking point. And like I said, 2012 was good, and then 13 and 14 just went awful. And that moment that 4th of July, we were watching the fireworks thinking, was this the last night I ever raced? And we took a week and a half off there. The fair break showed up, and we took a couple weeks off, and we came back, and we just never. Luckily, my step-grandpa Dick at the time, and I was very fortunate to have him. He built me more motors. He built me more transmissions. He just kept saying, stick with it, you know. And like I said, if it wasn't for my family, I'd been done a long time ago. That's the hard, cold truth. My grandma, my grandpa, my step-grandpa, my uncle, my sisters, my mom, my wife. It's crazy. It's just, there's so much stress on this deal, Ben, financially and time-consuming, that sometimes you just lose it a little bit, and you need that support, man. It's crazy.
Besides winning championships, what would you say have been your favorite racing moments? And do you tend to remember more about being in the moment, driving when you're racing, or the work progress and just getting there to be able to compete? You know, like being in the shop all week, you know?
Right. There's a lot of times during the week where people from town, you know, Turtle Lake's a small town, so there's a lot of support from our town too, where people will stop in during the week and, you know, how the weekend go and ask this and that, or, you know, I got a lot of small town sponsors too that will come in, and so you kind of keep working and you keep doing that. So the memories made in the shop is special. The memories made traveling around the state is special, hanging out with guys in the pits afterwards, you know, bouncing around from hotels during the tour, and, you know, eating burgers together and whatnot after races. And, you know, those memories are the ones that really make it enjoyable. On the track, you know, you really don't get to enjoy much because you're always stressed about the next race or looking forward to the next race. You know, even when we won the championship at Nodak in 17, we were, you know, the next weekend was Motor Magic right away, and then we had a pretty good shot to win that, and we did. And then, you know, so you're always kind of on to the next thing. So you don't really enjoy a lot of the on-track stuff. It's more of the afterwards and you know, the banquets and the being with those buddies that you made through this racing deal, and that's kind of the memories that kind of stick with you. There's a couple on-track ones. Winning that championship was special at Nodak because that place is so damn hard to win at, and I hadn't been really good there. I've actually struggled there this year again. It's so hard to be there. So to win that championship was kind of crazy. It just puts things in perspective that since you were a little kid going to that racetrack, you finally get to put your name on that banner. They can never take it off. But then a couple years ago, I was fortunate enough to race with Robbie Conway in the last night that he raced, the night he had his heart attack. I know it sounds weird, but I feel very fortunate that I got to be there and race with one of my mentors and my buddies before, and I got to talk with him, race with him before he passed away. And, those things stick with you forever. It's just those moments that you never expect her to be with. And then, it's a terrible memory, but it's a good memory at the same time, because when you look back at it, you got to do something you love with somebody you love. So that's pretty cool. So.
Yeah, those things happen all over life, man. When you think you experience something and in the moment you never think it's going to be like the last time, but it's powerful looking back on it, huh?
It is. It was kind of that song by Brad Paisley came out that year, that Last Time for Everything, and it just hit me. You don't expect it, and there's some guys that retire or leave or whatever, and you never race with them again. There's just even guys you don't get along with, and that's just it's all part of making memories, and it's all special, and then you don't really realize it while it's happening, because, like I said, the sport is so stressful. You're always consumed by what's going to happen next, that you don't always enjoy what's happening. So after that deal with Robbie Conway happened and passed away, we've really, the last couple of years, even the good nights, the bad nights, we've enjoyed the racing more. We've enjoyed being at the track more. I try not to complain about racetracks, complain about how things are run. Just go and enjoy it, because it's just not guaranteed. And once you realize that, I think everybody has that moment in their life where you realize that tomorrow's not guaranteed. And that was one of those moments where you're just like, I need to enjoy this for as long as I can, because it's what I love.
Switching gears a little bit here, when you're watching NASCAR on TV and the drivers, whether they wreck and they're out of the race and the reporters are talking to them, or if they're in victory lane, sometimes it can sound a little bit tacky when they're like, boy, thank God we won, or it's unfortunate we couldn't finish, because I loved the way my number 42 Taco Bell Chevrolet was performing. Boy, the cheesy gordita performance today, because they have to cram in all their sponsors and stuff, and it gets a little obnoxious. But maybe at your level, perhaps it's neat to be able to have these small town sponsors and help them have some success.
It is. It's great, man. We don't really have a big corporate sponsor. Nobody's ever showed up and handed me $10,000 or $20,000. And some guys get that. They're lucky. They're fortunate. But I consider myself very lucky to have 20 small sponsors that just have been committed to me since day one. I mean, a lot of it is it's hard-earned small town money, and for them to divvy up that cash and those checks, that means a lot, because everybody earned it. And it's really special to be able to represent those people. I mean, just because. Being from Turtle Lake, no matter what racetrack I go to, I'm an out-of-towner. I guess I consider Nodak my home track, because we've been going there our whole lives, but we're still an out-of-towner. So it's fun to represent the small town when you go to the big town. So I really appreciate those sponsors, and I enjoy representing them. They love it too. They love that we do it the small town way still. So the Class B way, it's kind of my whole life's been that Class B way, Ben. So.
Do a lot of those guys come out to the races or show up at the shop a lot during the week?
Yeah, we've got a couple sponsors that live right by the shop, actually. The Ruffalo, for example, the Ruffalo family has been sponsoring me since day one, and they live right across the street, so they're always bouncing over. Their kids are old enough now to bounce over. I work in my uncle's shop. He's one of my sponsors. There are a couple local bar and grills, the Chester Tavern, and then Rusted Rail. We're eating there. They're coming over. They're bringing us food. I got people popping in all the time, but it's really good. It's fun. It's part of that memory thing we were talking about earlier. You make those memories with those people, and they want to make it too. They like being a part of it. It's that small town life. So.
Just another plug here. We're looking for free sponsors here for the podcast. I'm not charging anybody a dime. I just want to sound professional. Maybe get some reads in the show, so you're helping me out there, Isaac. One more point when it comes to racing that I remember from a few minutes ago that I wanted to ask you about, just the experience of not always driving but remembering other stuff. What was the best post-race meal spot throughout all the different tracks and towns that you went to?
Oh, man. Well, we're pretty loyal to the Shots Crossroad truck stop in Minot after the NODAT races. In Underwood, we always go to the Rusted Rail after the races. That's kind of a fun spot to hang out afterwards. We've hit a lot of McDonald's. We've hit a lot of drive-thrus leaving racetracks, across the state.
That's fair.
Sometimes it's easier, but our go-to, most people know that you'll find the 12S crew at the truck stop on Sunday nights after the races. So.
Yeah, so a race team using a drive-thru kind of just fits in with a trend, basically.
It is, man. Especially when you're when we're running out to Williston or to Dickinson and whatnot, we got hurry up and get home and get ready for Sunday or whatever. You're on the road. You don't have time to sit and wait. And so, yeah, there's a lot of drive-thrus and there's a lot of eating in the pickup. There's a lot of eating at midnight, and you realize you haven't eaten since noon. So I'm terrible, man. I can't eat before I race. I couldn't eat before I played sports in high school. I can't eat before I coach either.
Oh,
so
yeah.
Usually that's kind of I kind of relax a little bit. I can eat again. So it's surprising because I'm a chicken nugget short of 300 pounds, but I can't eat I don't get to eat. I get too stressed. So.
Let's talk about your coaching. How did you end up being head coach of the Aggies?
Actually, so I played college football in Bono, and then I went to Mandeville State. But along the way, I got to meet Tyler Eastos, and Tyler and I got to be really good buddies. And Tyler is from Velva, and he got the head coaching job there. And he was looking for an assistant. And I had been an assistant at Mayport CG for 2 years when I was out there for college. And when I came home, he was looking for an assistant. We got to talking. I said, "Yeah, I'll come up and help." And that was 7 years ago. I never thought it would turn into this. I was actually going to come home, and I applied for the girls' job here at Turtle Lake Mercer, and I had interviewed for it. And at the same time, that's when Tyler decided to go to DLB. And then I went back to Velva and took the head job that he left open. And so we got to coach together, and now we're coaching against each other, so that's fun. But yeah, so then 2017, I took over as a head coach in Velva.
I didn't do the research for this, but so I'll let you tell the story. How has the rivalry gone, DLB versus Velva, since it's been Eastos versus Sondrol?
We played 3 times. They've all been really good games. The first year the first year we got to play, we played at their place. We won by 2. Then the next year they came to our place and they won by 3. I think last year we played at their new gym and they got us by 5 or 6. But they've all been really good games. He's up on me by 1 right now. So. But I think both of us would say it has been a lot of fun, but we've traded if we could make a deeper run in that regional tournament. So.
Yeah, you guys got to stick with it. We have to see a region championship between you guys. That'd be awesome.
That would be outstanding. I would be all for that. Yep.
So Velva has had its fair share of awesome athletes that play multiple sports. In the basketball sense, who's kind of made up your leadership core as the years have gone by from 2017 till now?
I was very, very, very lucky the first year that I took over. That's part of the reason that I came back, is I had an excellent senior group. Ethan Sheff, Nick Efforts, Hunter Broadbent, those guys, Gunnar Johnson, that whole group of seniors that year, I had as JV players, and I knew they were leaders, and those guys led. And I was spoiled. They wanted to be there. They wanted to work hard. Like you said, they're multi-sport athletes. They're good at everything. And they really did that. And then those guys left, and then Hayden Lee kind of stepped in and took that spot. And now we moved on to this next class of Gage Lawrence and Jersey Selzler and Adam Sheff and Caden Chadwick. And they, for whatever reason, and it's not for whatever reason, we have excellent coaches in all the programs at Velva. I feel we're led by a very good athletic director who has taught these kids to be leaders, and they understand the responsibility and they work. I mean, we have 7 or 8 seniors again this year, and they all work and they show up for everything that you ask them to do, and they all kind of lead. And you get a little bit spoiled as a coach, and it's nice because then you don't always have to ride them to go. They're kind of pushing each other. But yeah, that first group, Nick Efforts, I actually just brought him back in as my assistant now for this season. I'm really excited about that because he's a leader. His basketball IQ is sky high. I think he's going to bring a lot to our program.
Mm-hmm. You mentioned Hunter Broadband. Was there anybody else that you could think of that was a benefit for Velva when you guys got the Sawyer players? I always would joke with the girls' coach, Chris Broughton, about oh boy, you missed Hunter's sister and Maura Rotluck by a year. Could you imagine how good the team would be?
Yeah, I wish I could have kept Dylan Lund another year. I would have really liked to have him for one more year and got to know him a little bit better. My big thing as being a coach is getting on a level with these guys that you build a respect, and you feel like if you build that respect with these guys, they play hard. And so I got to spend that extra year with Hunter B, and man, he played hard. So if I could have had Dylan Lund for another year, I would have took him in a heartbeat. We didn't have a lot of other Sawyer kids that came after that, and then it was kind of they run out, and then the co-op broke up again, and whatever. But Hunter, if all the kids that I got to coach were like Hunter Broadband, man, there's nothing wrong with that. That kid worked his ever-loving tail off. So,
what do you tell the guys in season and maybe even in the off season to maybe inspire them to keep working hard? Because when you're in District 11, everyone's looking up at rugby.
Yep.
Mm-hmm.
Yep. They're not going anywhere. it's basically it's I've always preached this. Even when I was a JV coach, and this goes back to our racing, whatever. Do everything with passion. Do everything wholeheartedly. Otherwise, it's not worth doing. And these kids really get that. And they know the challenge there is with the rugbies. We knew what the challenge was a couple years ago with the Bishop Ryans, with Benbow and Hedberg. There, you knew the challenge, but you want to accept that challenge because that's just how life works. And you want to do it as hard as you can. You want to do it with passion. You want to just go gung ho. And you just want to leave their best on the floor. A couple of years ago, we were fortunate enough to go up to rugby and beat them, and they got us back in the district title game. And they're well coached. They have excellent athletes, but it's part of the fun of sports. We get to play that underdog role once in a while, and it's fun. As athletic as we are, you get to take your best swing at those guys, so it's fun. And yeah, man, the rugby's tough. The whole region's tough, man. I grew up down here in Region 5, where we were fortunate enough to go to a state tournament. And then we played Region 6, and we realized how good they were. But Region 5, there was a couple good teams, and then you just kind of, the rest of the season was whatever. When I'm preparing up there, and unfortunately I got to coach on Region 2 for a while, which is the same way. Nothing's given out there in Region 2. Region 2 is probably the best region in the state, and I think Region 6 is right behind them. And so you just prepare every night, and our kids understand that. They know they got to be ready to play, or you're going to get beat.
Yeah, because rugby's going to be there for you either in districts or regionals, and you're a head coach of a sport and an athletic program that has had like a ton of success, and you've built the Aggies like during the regular season so far. But what would it mean to add like some hardware in a sport that the program's been a powerhouse in so many others?
Yeah, everything, Ben. I'm not going to lie. I'm not going to sugarcoat it. And my kids understand that, and they want to do the same thing. It's no secret the success that Larry Sandy has had in the football program there. In the 1990s and the 2000s, that's continued into this decade. We want to be on that level. We want to be able to hang banners in the gym, and we have had excellent regular seasons. We have to put a better tournament together, and our kids are working hard. These kids want it as bad as I do, and they don't. The taste that's been left in our mouth of the district tournament is not a good one, and so they're going to keep working. I really believe that. I've seen it. We had to, this has been a weird summer with summer camp and a lot of our open gyms being changed or canceled, or we finally got to go back in the gym here, and I think the break's been good for us. I think that these kids all play 2-3 sports minimum. And so it's been good for them to get that break, but you can just see it. We just had open gym this morning, and I'm so impressed by how hard they're working. We want to be like Thompson. We want to be like the Minor Ryans, the Thompsons of the world, the Lintons of back in the day. You want to be going to state in all 3 sports. That's the goal.
Yeah, and take it from me, man. I locally, I got to be objective with it, but I can always say I like when there's maybe a little bit more new blood in the area. When it comes to winning, all my Philadelphia teams, they were always under the radar when they win. If you look at the Phillies in 2008, or when the Eagles won the Super Bowl, that kind of thing. And sometimes it's more enjoyable when you're not the contender that everyone expects to see, man. So when it happens, man, I can't even imagine what it's going to mean to you and the guys, Isaac.
Yeah, and we're gonna keep working. This group has a really good shot to do things. This region is going to be really even this year. There's literally 8 or 9 teams that could probably win this deal. I would still give the edge to rugby just because until someone knocks them off again, hey, it's their crown, But there's going to be some really good teams, and there's some really good coaches in this region now. Teams coming back to our Redeemers, Bosch going over to Minor Ryan. There's just some really good coaches all over Satcher and Tyler and Coach Brown at Berthold, and it's just tough, man. It's good. The competition brings out the best in people too, but I enjoy it because I don't think we'd be as lucky if we played in our region. So it's going to be fun.
So yeah, because you've had enough winning racing, now it's time to win some basketball, or what?
I like to win at both. I like to win more of this racing deal. Last year wasn't very good. We got to win early in this year, and we've been running in the top 5 quite a bit. I got to get better at Nodak because that place, it's kind of like playing in Region 6. Nodak's kind of the toughest place to race, so I got to get better there yet. But yeah, man, I'd love to keep winning trophies in both of them. That's not a secret. That's why you do it. Yes, that's why you spend all the time driving around and all the time in the gym, all the time in the shop is to win trophies. So.
Absolutely, gotta love the work putting into. Isaac, I really appreciate this. This has been fun, and thank you for the time.
Thanks, man. Appreciate you.